We have a great webinar planned for you. Mike will be showcasing the power of a flexible learning management system. Mike is a solutions consultant at PlatCore. He's also a process automation digital transformation expert, and he advises enterprises on improving efficiency and unlocking innovation. Mike, do you want to say anything? Welcome, everybody.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Yeah, as Lauren says, I'm the solution consultant, and I'll be running you through the scenarios and the demonstration later on.
Thanks, Mike. I'm going to get us started with a little bit of an introduction into PlatCore. PlatCore was founded in 2016 to solve a need for ServiceNow customers to track compliance training, and we've since built the only fully featured learning management system that lives directly on the ServiceNow platform. We're an advanced platform partner of ServiceNow, and our LMS is verified by ServiceNow, operates seamlessly inside of that powerful platform. Our headquarters is in Denver, Colorado, and we have a dedicated team across the US that works tirelessly to bring you the best possible learning management system. So why build a learning management system on ServiceNow? Here are a few ways that we drive value for our customers. And Mike, if you can, yeah, the one before that, thank you so much. A connected learning management system first allows you to leverage the power of ServiceNow for security, reporting, and scalability. You can also take advantage of ServiceNow as a powerful integrator of other systems or a hub of hubs. Next, and today we're going to talk a lot about flexibility and how that can help you meet your unique business needs. It helps you reduce manual training costs. You can embed training processes into your existing systems, and we're going to show you a lot of examples of that today. So lastly, we use the power of ServiceNow to help facilitate great learning experiences. We have a lot of data into who your employees or your customers are, and we can use it to simplify and curate learning for that end user. So we have today 3 use cases that Mike is going to walk us through. And Mike, if you can give me the next slide. Thank you so much. To start, we're going to talk about learning portals. Mike is going to show us how to customize and embed learning portals and how you can drive engagement to your learning management system doing that. How you can better serve your audience or even multiple audiences by doing that. Next, we're going to talk about flexible business processes. We'll see how to build out learning workflows, show how learning can adapt to the way that you do business, and even how you can change those on the fly as your business's processes may change. And then lastly, we're going to show you a bit about flexible reporting, how you can create instant on-the-fly modifiable reports and dashboards that are visible across the company. And then after that, we're going to share some customer stories and show you some more examples, and we're going to answer any questions. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Mike, who's going to walk us through all this fantastic use cases. Mike, you can take it away.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, so let's, in terms of the flexibility that we have with PlatCore and living on the ServiceNow platform, as Lauren says, we're going to start with portals and engaging various audiences in the learning content that we need them to take. So just before I actually go into some of the portal examples, just for those that haven't been on a call before with us or have seen the platform before, PlatCore has quite a significant, what we would call portal environment or front end, where learners can come and access their training. We have various interfaces for day-to-day managers to manage learning. We've got things like the catalog and the transcript and so on. And I just wanted to make you aware of this screen just in case you haven't seen it. And so when later on, when we talk about courses and registrations and things being assigned, this is what we mean, right? So when a learner comes into this portal here, they see their learning assignments here, their courses. Okay, so that's just the only sort of concept I just want to make sure everyone's aware of before we talk about the other things. And obviously there's a lot more to this, and you know, the learner experience, that's a conversation for another webinar or a follow-up if you need that. Okay, so just wanted to highlight that so you've got a good idea of what the learner experience looks like there, just on that front end. So okay, so there are a number of audiences that we may need to engage our learning content with, and so in the ServiceNow world, we normally house multiple business processes and thus audiences on the platform. So that could be the IT service management module, which is where obviously employees will go and get things fixed from an IT perspective, make requests for software and so on. We've got things like the customer service module in ServiceNow, which is used to deliver external support and services to your customers and partners. And we've also got other common modules which are used, like the HR service delivery module, which is of course used to provide services to employees from an HR perspective. Those three in particular, you know, they marry quite well with the learning data that we have here. And so what we've got is some sort of visionary examples here of what we could do with various portals and how we can get some of that learning functionality in there to complement these processes. And so what you see here is an example of a service portal landing page that you could build for IT. It doesn't matter if your portal looks different to this. The key concept is that we have these two search boxes on the landing page. Now, the one on the left here, how can we help today? That is obviously the box that ServiceNow will provide out of the box typically if you're running the IT service management module. And this is where you would search for, say, knowledge base articles, you would search for requests for laptops or access to various networks or software, or whatever it may be, or you can come up and click on things like the service catalog or the request area to go and do that. But we have an opportunity here as well to reduce the amount of requests that our employees and the personnel within our organizations make by exposing the ability to search for learning here as well. So this search box on the right will search the learning content directly. Now, this search box on the right already exists inside the PlatCore system, so it's already there. And because PlatCore is built on the same technology that all other portals on ServiceNow are, it's a very, very low effort exercise to go and do things like put the learning search box on your landing page for the IT portal. And obviously driving up learning, driving up the standard of training and on-demand learning in particular will naturally benefit the IT teams by driving down the amount of requests and support that people require. So that's one of the opportunities there, and this is extremely low effort to achieve because we already have this search box available within the system. It's just a case of putting that widget in your IT service portal. Okay, so let's move forward there. Okay, so the second example is with, say, an HR portal. So obviously HR are keen on ensuring that our employees understand what their benefits are, they're accessing those benefits, their perks and so on. And not only that, are they upskilling themselves and are they encouraged to progress in their careers? And in PlatCore, we have a gamification feature which can assist with just that. So we can create badges, and in particular, we can create custom badges as well, like you see here, to drive employees, to drive learners to particular training courses and topics that are valuable to either the organization or potentially valuable to them in their roles. And of course, in case you don't know, within PlatCore, we can make training assignments, we can suggest training, and we can suggest badges based upon the role that particular person carries out. Obviously, training is going to be different for every role, and the types of skills that we want people to learn are going to be different for every role as well. And we already have the capability to target various roles with specific training in the system. And we're showing how we would combine that here with the gamification feature to really enable HR teams to encourage people to continue to upskill themselves in certain areas. So you see in the middle here, we've got some badges that we've already achieved, and on the right hand side you see the leadership expert badge is grayed out, and that's because it's not been completed. And by the way, this widget to support this view in the middle is already in PlatCore, and once again with some minor configuration you can get this to inside an HR portal. And anyway, so the leadership expert badge, right? So obviously that's going to be a series of training or learning plan to do with skills around being a leader, whether that's within your own team or being a leader across other areas of the organization. And so that might be a skill that we want people to learn, and so then we would obviously tease that badge, and doing things like converting that into, say, a 1-year gym membership or something else tangible in the real world is another level of encouragement to go and achieve these badges, other than just unlocking them and feeling good about achieving that badge. So that's another opportunity there we have to help HR drive the types of skills and career progression that they want, and get them access to their benefits as well in a much more interactive way, and keep people happier. So that's the HR example then, and finally we've got an example here for customer service management. So here we have once again another service portal for customer service management that sits on ServiceNow. And this is where customers and partners would log in to access information about the services, access product entitlements, support, make orders, and so on. And one of the things that we find with some of our clients who are using the customer service module as well, and using PlatCore to deliver learning to their partners and distributors and customers, it is this desire and this need to get people certified on their products and services and keep the training standard high, because in particular for businesses that are using ServiceNow to facilitate these customer support and customer service processes, making sure training is completed, making sure that our customers and partners are aware of the training is absolutely vital for making the customer service process economical. And so once again, with PlatCore being on ServiceNow, we have a really unique opportunity here to position learning and training to our customers and partners when they come and say request support or whatever they need from these customer service portals. On the left-hand side here, you see an example where we can use learning plans and expose the learning plan data to award a partner or customer within an enhanced support tier or product entitlement or so on. So we have clients where if partners want to resell their products, they have to be certified on the product, and so bringing that together on that support portal is a great way to do that. And then obviously clicking the Start Learning button will bring you straight to PlatCore. There's no extra log on, there's no external LMS, none of that. You go straight to the LMS, straight to the course, and start learning there. And on the right hand side here, we have another widget, and this is being used to essentially expose recommended learning, and things like where you've got new product releases, you've got new upgrades, things like this on your services and products, which typically cause confusion and a lot of questions. When you launch new things, new products and services, you're going to want to expose the training and make sure people are well aware of that before they come and start asking questions if possible. And so the right hand side is using the recommendation engine that's inside PlatCore already to expose that learning, which is quite common and quite important on the right hand side there. So yeah, so that's an example of how we can really sort of drive down the cost of providing customer services and ensure that our partners are certified on the products and services that we're providing as well. So yeah, all really good examples there of flexibility on PlatCore by leveraging the data that's there and combining it with the modules that are already in ServiceNow. So that's a bit on interfacing with various audiences. So let's now look at being flexible and customizing business processes themselves. So just coming into my demo environment here. This tool inside ServiceNow is called Flow Designer. Now, there's a lot going on here, and so don't worry too much about the detail. I'm going to help you understand what's going on. But essentially, what Flow Designer is it's what they call a no-code way of automating processes, automating business processes. So you don't need to be a programmer, you don't need to know code to be able to build out automated business processes within ServiceNow using Flow Designer. And what we have here is a scenario where the delivery of instructor-led training is very important to us. And so, particularly in the customer service world, we want to make sure that if our customers and partners are purchasing training, potentially, we want that standard to be very, very high, and we need to make sure that we follow up on any negative feedback that we might receive for some instructor-led training. And that's exactly what this business process is designed to automate here. So what actually happens here is that once again, we're combining multiple elements of the ServiceNow platform here to achieve this automated process of following up on poor feedback. So what's happening here is the first stage here, as you can see, is when a learner completes an instructor-led training course, their next training course is going to trigger this workflow. So that's the first step there. The second thing that then happens is what we need to do is we need to go and look at this learner's past survey feedback. So they've just completed another instructor-led training course, and now we need to go and look at all their past or some of their past survey feedback to see if they were dissatisfied by something that was delivered in the past. So we would do that in this step here, and then the second step here, in the second action, we're then going to dig into that survey to look at a specific question that we asked in that survey. So this particular step looks for the final question, which is give us an overall experience rating for this particular instructor training you went on. So that's what this step does. And then finally, it then says if, and it's quite verbose here, so if the overall experience rating was 2 out of 5 stars or less, we want to do something. Now, in this particular instance, what we're doing is sending an email. So if I just click on that, you can see that you can configure that here, and we've got the email body here. Essentially what we're doing is we're making sure that you are satisfied with your recent ILT course. Let us know when we can call you and check in, and we've got some automated links to schedule some time to call this learner to understand if they were satisfied with the next instructor-led training course they went on. And if they weren't, we can deal with that way before it becomes a problem and we start getting negative feedback across other customers or learners. So that's an example of how we could respond there. But let's say that wasn't necessarily effective for us. We want to be able to change this business process. Now, these kinds of processes do exist in some other LMS systems, more traditional ones. The problem really comes is when you want to tailor that to your own business, what do you do? Typically, you have to go to the LMS vendor and ask them to make some sort of change or modification, and then good luck getting that in the next year or so. Very difficult to get those kinds of changes made if they don't already have configuration options that you want inside their platform. Of course, being on ServiceNow, we don't have to wait around for PlatCore to deliver a particular enhancement. Of course, you could contact us and see if that's on our roadmap, but when it comes to tailoring to the business process, it's very likely that you're just going to want to come and modify these processes yourself. So let's say, so what we want to do is, let's say this is, this email is not being effective. We want to make sure someone then goes and explicitly follows up after this as well. So what we can do, we can just close this box down here and we can come and add another action. And in this particular instance, what we're going to do is we're going to create a task for someone in the learning team to go and explicitly make a phone call or go and find this person or follow up on this email as well, to make sure that we close the loop on this negative feedback. And that is a business process element that we want. It's important to us. We've identified it. Obviously, there's a million and one other things we could do. This is just the example that we're using here. So we'd come and add this action, and what we're going to do is, you can see that there's a number of things that we can do here. We have access to a vast array of integrations. So for example, if you wanted to send like a different survey or something, right, we can go and turn on the Survey Monkey module that is already a pre-built integration in the ServiceNow world. And there's hundreds and hundreds of integrations to various systems. I just wanted to prove the point there that we can go and do an incredible amount of things using the Flow Designer here. And integrate with various other enterprise systems. Here, we're just going to create a task within ServiceNow. So I'm going to hit create task here. And then we're going to create, there's various types of tasks in ServiceNow. We don't have to worry too much about the detail here, just proving the point that we can change this process. So we're going to create a customer service task in this particular instance. And then what we're going to want to do is say we want to assign this to the learning team. So we're going to say assignment group is the LMS managers, maybe. So anyone who's an LMS manager can pick up this task of following up. We would then maybe give it a due date to make sure it gets done, to make sure we get notifications if it's overdue for this particular task. So let's say, let's give that 2 weeks. And then finally, we can go and obviously give this a description of the particular task that we need to do here. And that could be something like, let's do that. So follow up with learner to ensure IoT course satisfaction. Okay, and that's that. And so we're done. And so that's it. Okay, and so obviously I appreciate that there's quite a lot going on here, and you do have to obviously learn the Flow Designer tool so you know what you're doing. The point being is that it doesn't take an incredible amount of time to go and modify a business process so you can achieve a specific outcome, a specific learning objective, which would otherwise be potentially a very difficult and costly task using a traditional LMS system. You only need standard ServiceNow skills or teams or support to go and carry out this particular activity. Okay, so I just wanted to prove that point there. Obviously, this is an extremely flexible tool. There really is nothing you can't achieve with this tool. So that's a bit about flexibility on business processes there. And then finally, we'll talk about, let's explore flexibility in reporting, which is another really critical area. If you've been on previous reporting webinars, you may recognize this use case, but we're not going to spend too long here. We're just going to prove the point. So you may remember in the dashboard area here that we have these assignments. And of course, what we want to be doing is using an automated assignment mechanism within the learning management system to automate the assignment of training for various roles and so on. And so that's exactly what this is doing here. Once again, I know there's a lot going on here, but if we just ignore most of this information for now, and we'll just look at the reporting elements. But essentially, this is an assignment which will assign these 2 training courses, these cybersecurity and phishing attack training courses. And the reason we're automating the assignment of this is because these are training that needs to be done for our organization or our agency to remain compliant with the standards that we need to remain compliant with. And what's happened is this automated assignment has generated registrations, course registrations, for these learners to go and complete. And obviously, because this is compliance training, we want some flexibility here around reporting on this particular assignment because it's important to us. And so what we're going to do is just build a little report to track the progress of this compliance training, and then we're going to put it on our personal dashboard. So I'm just going to open this data in a new window here, and you can see that data here. And then what I'm going to do is use ServiceNow's native reporting capability, come up to state here and say create a pie chart. And so what we've got here now is a real-time drill down report on the state of this particular automated assignment and the important compliance training that is related to it. And so we're going to want to track this until everyone's completed this and be able to chase people when they're not, or chase people's managers so that they can get this done. So let's call this, cyber security training tracker, something like that. Save that. So that's done now. And then what we're going to want to do is go and add that to, say, a dashboard. So if we just come to one of our dashboards in here, let's go. I'm going to use my compliance dashboard here. Go and add that widget. I'm going to go and find that widget that we just created. There it is at the top, cybersecurity training tracker. Add that there. There it is. And that's that. So that's that. And so now what we have is on our dashboard, either a personal one or a shared group one, we have this real-time drill down report on this particular training assignment that we've got across our agency or organization. And I can obviously come in here and go, well, we've got one piece of this training that's in the ready state. That means this person hasn't even opened it. They've not even started. So that's a problem. And we want to go and address that problem before it becomes a compliance issue for us. So we just drill down on that. And there it is. And that's the person we now need to go and chase or send a notification to. Or we can even go and build a flow in Flow Designer to deal with this kind of process without having to manually deal with it. And we do obviously already have a lot of automation out of the box to notify people about overdue training and so on. So a lot of that process is there, but if you do have any outliers, that's how you could potentially build a report to go and chase them down. And that's that really. So so those are the three major elements of flexibility that we have within PlatCore because we are on ServiceNow. So what we'll do now is we'll just wrap up with some use cases from our customers who are leveraging the flexibility of PlatCore to achieve their business objectives. So one of our customers in the Asia Pac region is New Zealand Parliament, and they were able to leverage the flexibility of PlatCore to specifically customize the look and feel of their learner portal and adapt it for their local languages. Obviously really important out in New Zealand, where they have multiple languages, multiple native languages. And they're also able to centralize their learning processes by bringing together 120 electoral sites into one learning system. New Zealand Parliament affectionately refer to PlatCore as the bucket, and that's the reason. The reason they call us the bucket is because it makes it easy to showcase their learning content and, importantly, drive adoption. And that is because of that flexibility and being able to customize their learning portals to drive that adoption. So really important flexibility use case there. We've also got Ortho Virginia, and importantly, they were leveraging ServiceNow's workflow engine, or they are leveraging ServiceNow's workflow engine to build and configure more specific learning workflows to coordinate training for new hires. So they have a very specific learning process for new hires, and they were using the workflow engine to satisfy that process and automate it end to end. And they're using that alongside our dynamic assignments, which we also have to target training to the right departments. But where there's a bit more of a specific use case, that's where the Flow Designer and ServiceNow's workflow engine come into play here to really enable you to gain, that last piece of value out of your business processes and automate them end to end. So yeah, so that is pretty much that. And if you want to dig into these use cases in a bit more detail, we do publish these references on the website on platcore.com, so you can find them there. And yeah, I think that's that. So Lauren, I don't know if we have any questions or there's anything else we need to cover.
Thanks, Mike. That was a lot of really rich content. Thank you so much for that. I will give everyone a minute to enter any last questions, and I have a few that have come through. The first question I have here: what do you need as far as ServiceNow technical expertise or roles in order to accomplish some of what we saw today?
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, in the Flow Designer part, you generally need the 101 training to use these tools effectively. As simple as they are, things like Flow Designer, we definitely need some training, and ideally, and so what ServiceNow do with Flow Designer is they enable a publishing process where someone who is trained on maybe Flow Designer, has done the training course that ServiceNow provides, they can piece together a flow, but then they can have that approved and then checked and signed off by, say, an IT team or someone else who's responsible for the platform. So there is that process there. But yeah, some technical knowledge is very useful for doing things like the business process stuff. Reporting, that is something that's definitely a lot easier to do. As you can see, it only really takes Excel skills to run some reports. There are some very advanced reports that you can also create using ServiceNow. And if you want to get into that sort of realm, then you're going to want to do the training that ServiceNow provide. And then finally, and then when it comes to customizing service portals, absolutely that's a technical task, and that's going to require someone with service portal training. That's probably a bit more technical to get right and make sure it's all mobile friendly and so on. So that's definitely going to require someone who's got some significant service portal knowledge to execute on. But 9 times out of 10, you do have access to that kind of expertise by virtue of having ServiceNow, whether that is via a partner or that you work with, an IT services partner, or maybe you have some of that skill in-house, or a mix of the two. So yeah, you do have access to those skills. It just depends on obviously the availability and the potential cost of that.
Great, thanks, Mike. The next question: how easy is it to link data between, for example, customer service and the LMS?
Yeah, so that's really sort of quite straightforward to do here, right? So I think if we just sort of show you a little bit about how that would be done. So, accessing data from various modules across ServiceNow is really quite straightforward to do. So in this example here, so this is the course data as it appears on the back end. Okay, so obviously the learner would not look at this version of the course data here, but this is our IT annual security training course, and this is the form here. But let's pretend this was like a product, some product training, right? Something like that. This is our product training. We might want to link this. These training courses to a product so we can track that. And so I'm just going to show you, once again, it's a bit of a technical process here, but it's fairly straightforward to do. So what we can do is go to the form designer here, and we should be able to find a reference field. There we go, reference. So drag a reference in there, and then we can go and choose, say, if we want to link a product or something like that from the customer service module. So there's lots of different products to use, but let's just say this release product here. I don't know which one's the correct one to use right now, but this is potentially a table in the customer service module, or maybe this is in the IT service management module. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a table from another module, so we'd have product reference here. That should be that. So then we can go and save that, and we go back to that form, give this a refresh. There it is there. So now we can go and associate a product. Obviously, yeah, don't have any data here, unfortunately. I probably chose the wrong product table, but that's okay. If we had some data here, we'd be able to click on that, and then it would literally reference the product, and that would be that. So quite simple to go and reference data from across the platform. Of course, once this reference is here as well, once that reference is there, we can then go and report on that as well. So if we wanted to report on, say, the status of or the completion of training on a particular product, you'll be able to do that once that data is linked there. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any data in that table, but we'd just be able to pick it from the picker if I did. Yeah, so it's pretty much that. There it is. So yeah, there we go. Just got some data in there. I didn't name it, but it's very simple. Then you come in and pick that. So yeah, that's about that. Yeah, that's that. Anything else?
Nope, those are all of the questions right now, Mike. And I put in the chat some of the links for the more resources, whether it's the blog where we have a lot of different downloads or the case studies. Both of those links are in there. So as a reminder, we're going to send out the recording of the presentation in the next few days. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming. Mike, did you want to close this out?
Yeah, nothing more from my end. So yeah, thanks for your time, everyone. And as Lauren says, if you need to follow up with us and discuss some of these use cases, please do.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you very much.